Hey, you just
All right. Bloodborne sucks. Game five of my
that's what's
first
up.
5 games of my top 50 games that you should play on PlayStation Plus Extra. Cold Vein. Cold Vein is set in the same universe as God Eater, which is also a great game. I would say where God Eater is somewhat similar to like a Monster Hunter type game or Fantasy Star type game. Cold Vein is similar to a Dark Souls or Demon Souls type game. Um, it's set in
So
a world where overall, the world has pretty much been taken over by these monsters of, well, I don't want to spoil it. I won't tell where they came from, but these horrible monsters. And the only way to fight the monsters is to take some of the monsters' stuff into yourself, like you can see on the screen right there. The weapons you use in the game are kind of a hybrid of the monster cells mixed with your cells, mixed with the weapon that you choose to use. Going through the game, as you can see here, it's kind of like a Soulsborne type feeling where it's big, strong monsters and you have to avoid and parry the monsters. You have a lot of options as far as combat and weapon styles. You have special attacks where you can drain the monsters of their abilities. Overall, I won't get too into it, but my favorite of the top 5 games so far is Code Vein for sure. If you're a fan of anime, if you're a fan of God Eater, if you're a fan of Soulsborne games, I would strongly, highly recommend trying out Code Vein. Not enough people have played it, and it definitely deserves more time in the hands of hardcore gamers. What do you
This is
guys think?
this is pretty good because you naming a whole bunch of games that I never heard of today. And I love the title of that game that you comparing it to, God Eater. That's a wild name.
Yeah, it's the monsters of God Eater are far more terrible than the ones in Cold Vein, but it's set in the same universe. And
Mm.
the reason it's called God Eater is because like your living weapons that you actually use it to eat the monsters that you're fighting. You
Mm.
like rip parts out of them and you rip energy out of them. You literally practically eat them. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's a really good game. It's really fun for sure.
Parker, you got anything you want to add?
Never heard of it. Looks really cool because I'm into anime. You guys know that. He said the Souls part kind of discouraged me a little bit because I'm like, I don't want to be lost the whole time. But maybe if it's on sale or I have the opportunity, I would give it a shot.
It is free on PlayStation Plus Extra. The reason I chose these games, if you have PlayStation Plus Extra, you can play all of these games for free.
I agree with Curious, and Code Vein is a good game. I actually like Code Vein. I am familiar with God Eater because I am a Monster Hunter fan as well. Um, I will say though, I do think Code Vein plays very close to a Soulsborne's game. So if you're like in Fight's case, if you're really not in the Soulsborne game, I personally don't think you'd probably be really into Cold Rain. Cold Rain is basically, I mean, it's a different story, different atmosphere. It is more onto the anime style, whereas Soulsborne games are definitely not anime style. But I think the combat and everything plays very similar to Soulsborne's game. But um, I will say though that I I do find some flaws in Cold Vein, probably more so flaws in Cold Vein than Caradus would admit to in Bloodborne. But everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So, but other than that, I do think Cold Vein is a good game.
Well, what flaws did you find?
For one, just went off the top of my head. The DLC in Cold Vein was kind of like pointless. It didn't really add any extra value to, in my opinion. Bloodborne DLC was like it just went beyond the basis of the regular game and then took it. I mean, to me, the base Bloodborne game was already a 10. The DLC took it up to 12. Cold Vein to me, the basis of Cold Vein, I would give it maybe a 7. And then the DLC not adding anything at all, in my opinion, I would actually lower it from the DLC standpoint.
All right, so extra content made the game worse. That's weird. But my question was like the base game itself, Code Vein. You said there were flaws in it. Like not like the DLC was just added stuff they added afterwards. So what are the flaws in the base game?
I found a couple of issues with some of the combat in a sense where it's like you had I don't remember what it was called in Cobain, but you had different kind of abilities based on like I think I don't know if they were cards or something, but I would say some of the tricks or whatever the extra added abilities. To me, there was a lot of mixture. There was some that were really good, and there was a lot that wasn't really good, in my opinion. It wasn't balanced and balanced enough to me in
This shit
skills.
could have been
Whereas
no. It could have been no worse than what Call of Duty did. But that's fucking Modern Warfare 3.
I would say like if you
well,
can
I
even if
say
you compare
that
it, no, go ahead.
I say that in like in Bloodborne to me, like I think a lot of the weapons, the trick weapons, are really balanced. There's not really a best weapon in Bloodborne. It's a weapon that you feel the most comfortable with. So to me, it's I guess what they always say, quality over quantity. Where it's like I said, Coving, there's a lot of different abilities where I was like, I would definitely put in a lower grade tier versus some where I would put in a better tier.
So if you play a game like Elden Ring had a bajillion. That's not a real number. Um, different weapon skills and stuff like that and abilities. There were definitely good ones. There were definitely bad ones. Over times and with different edits and stuff like this, some of the bad ones became good, some of the good ones became bad. And do you think it's bad to be able to play an inferior weapon or ability if you enjoy how it looks or how it performs versus everything works at about the same qualitative level? Like, is it a bad thing to have good and bad?
I
Like,
believe it's better to have quality over quantity. Like if you make everything balanced to where you like a weapon and it's still viable versus a weapon that is trash, I would say the quality of that weapon being balanced to me is better than playing with something I just like visually. But that's just my opinion.
right, my question was like, say, take yourself out of yourself. You're random gamer X. Would you rather have the option to play a super powerful play style and play a less powerful play style and play a medium play style? Or would you like, say for damage numbers, say the medium play style is 5 damage every attack, and the powerful play style is 20 damage an attack, and the weak play style is 2 damage per attack. Would you rather have those options, or would you rather have a bunch of different weapons that DPS over time, every second, everybody does 5 damage? No matter what playstyle you choose, it looks different, but it's always 5 damage.
That question to me has no relevance to like Bloodborne because there are some
I didn't.
weapons that
We're not
are
even talking about Bloodborne.
well, the reason I'm saying that because like if you're comparing it to a Bloodborne, there are
I'm not.
some powers, some weapons that actually give a lot of damage versus weapons that are faster would have a higher DPS. So to answer your question, I would say it depends on I would say still quality. Like if I'm comparing DPS versus I guess a numbers game. It depends on what mood I'm in. Some games I would want to play a DPS, and some games I want to play a strictly strength based. So you're saying which one would I pick is better? It depends on whatever mood I'm in.
Thank you. So we were talking about Code Vein, not Bloodborne. And in Code Vein, you said the problem with Code Vein is they had weak weapons and they had strong weapons, and there was a disparity in their ability to perform. And my argument was that's a good thing, not a bad thing. You were talking about Bloodborne and comparing the two games. I was just saying it's not a bad thing to have options. Like sometimes you might want to hit really quickly and do very little damage. Sometimes you might want to hit really hard and do a lot of damage. Sometimes you might want to be in the middle somewhere. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes you might want to do tons of damage and annihilate every monster easily. Some games you might want to play through and fight and struggle through every single monster. So what? Different play styles for different people. How is that a bad thing?